Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Joshua Yoder Show. I'm your host, Joshua Yoder, and today I'm joined by longtime friend John Klinger. What's up, Kling?
Hey, what's up there, Josh? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Hey, no problem, man. Hey, I got the time, and not only that, it's cold as hell outside.
Oh, don't get me started on the cold. I hate cold weather.
So, but
but but here I thank you for coming on. And today we're going to talk about you and what you've been doing, and also a commonality, and that's mental health, our love of martial arts, and music.
yeah, for sure. I'm happy to be on here. Thank you for thinking of me, by the way, first and foremost. I know you've been trying to brainstorm ideas of how you could get your stuff out there, and I think what you're doing is great right here. So this is awesome.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliment, buddy. And let's talk about a little mental health, shall we?
Sure, let's dive in. Let's shoot.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, you are a personal trainer. Excuse me, personal trainer, and a lot of it stems from your struggles with mental health and all that stuff. And so, how about we start with that? What got you into being a trainer?
Alrighty, that's a very good question. A good bit of my I remember whenever I was a kid. Okay, me and my dad. Okay, this is whenever I moved in with him and my grandmother. See, my mom and them had a divorce, and my mother, who's no longer with me anymore, God rest her soul, but she had a lot of issues, and she ended up giving me and my brother up as a kid. And I guess that kind of help trigger that too. But like, I'm gonna fast forward. I'll probably get into more detail about that a little later about my maybe childhood. But I remember us watching the Terminator whenever I was a kid, the first one, like the very first one, not the second one that everybody likes. And I remember the opening scene, and I seen this big buff dude just come out of this lightning, and I'm like, I want to look like that, like I do. But I think even more what made me want to be a personal trainer, because that was kind of the start, was growing up around people that were, unhealthy and whatnot, and just watching it around me. And it really motivated me to want to be able to like show people there's a different way. Like, I'm not against uh gastric bypass surgery, but I'm also not for it, if that makes sense. But the rooting cause of like my mother passing away came from that. So that really motivated me to really kick this into action, because like there's all I mean, slow and steady wins the race. I mean, and gastric bypass surgery is like it's quick, but it also, if you don't do everything proper, it could also end very, very badly. So I mean, I guess that's kind of a summary of it. I knew when I was like 16, 17, that's what I wanted to be. So I did, but like what really like pushed it into action was my mother passing away.
And my thoughts and prayers to you, and God rest her soul.
Well, thanks there, man.
And also too, like we talked about before we went on the air, like we talked about mental health, and you said you went through a lot of struggle, and you said like working out and getting in the gym has really helped save your life in a lot of ways.
It has. Absolutely it has. Yeah, obviously when I have a lot of trauma PTSD from like my childhood and whatnot, and just also like it kind of like transferred into my adult years. So like the gym was just kind of like a healthy outlet for me to like, put all my energy in. It was something positive. I mean, like I follow bodybuilding. Obviously, I'm a former men's physique bodybuilder. I did that there for a while, but the gym just was always just my safe space. It really like showed me a better way. It showed me that hey, when life gets tough, you know, if you can conquer things even whenever they get tough. So yeah.
Yeah, I almost forgot about your bodybuilding competition. How many years did you do that?
Well, I actually, okay, see, I followed bodybuilding for years, even before I even got into the sport. So, like, around 2015, Matt Silks, everybody knows Matt Silks from the Lewistown, TRK. Big shout out to him and what he's doing with Honorary Wrestling Federation. I'm
Indeed.
really proud of him. Uh, but we worked alongside each other for a while. But he told me about his brother Chuck, which I guess he's doing really well too. I heard he's a pastor now, which that's great. I think that's awesome. But he told me, he's like, why don't you just get into bodybuilding? And my first show was a guest pose at one of his pro wrestling events, and that's kind of where everything started. And then I evaluated my physique, and I realized I have a lot of work to do. So I took a little time to kind of reinvent myself, to so speak. Because you remember, like, there was at one point, like, I was like really bulky and not as chiseled as I am now, I guess. um I decided I'm going to do this a different way, and it was like around 2020. I decided to get back, into like because I was already working on it, to sign up for like an actual competitive show, and it just went from there. I did probably about 3 or 4 shows, I believe it was. I mean, granted, they happened all in the same venue, if that makes sense, but I wanted to do it that way so I could save a little bit of money, because bodybuilding ain't cheap.
No, it's not. No, it is not.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I love it. I miss it. Will I ever come out of retirement to do it? Maybe. Never say never. But either way, I'm never gonna stop. The lifestyle. You know what I mean?
No, and it's good though, and like you said, it brings out like positivity, which honestly it leads me to my next question. Because I see some of your videos, and what you try to do is you try to show people like there's a healthy way, but you don't try to look down upon people. You try to show a positive way of going about things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what personal training's all about. Like, and just fitness in general. It shows you that, like, like I'm gonna use this example, and this is kind of like I don't want to sound kind of offensive, I guess, but it's like a guy that's overweight, like, you know what I mean, steps into the gym. Okay, what's the point of making fun of somebody that's overweight? Okay, that's going in there to try to make personal changes in their life. I never saw the point in that, because each day that they step in there, that's a brick laid, okay, into building a better foundation and a better version of themselves. So,
Yeah,
like, yeah,
I agree with that. It's like what you're trying to say is like, well, each day is like another step for them.
yeah, exactly. And, I struggled with body dysmorphia most of my life, which I'm very open about, which a lot of people find that kind of shocking coming from somebody like me, I guess. But no, like, I struggled with body images for years. So, like, maybe on a different level than, maybe someone that's overweight. But, like, I understand why maybe a person might be intimidated to go to the gym. I mean, because you remember, for years, I actually just used to train in my own gym.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you had your own home gym for the longest time, and I can attest to what you're saying too, because like I struggle with like working out because like I was born with scoliosis, cerebral palsy, so it's a little harder for me to like do things physically, especially now that I'm getting older. So I totally get it because you want to still try to be in good shape, despite your limitations. But I totally get why some people would be scared of like, oh, they want to lift weights or they're afraid of getting made fun of. But it's like, dude, you just getting into the gym and trying to be consistent. That's half the battle, really.
Exactly. And I mean, and here's the thing, like, I'm gonna get kind of technical on you. I'm like, everybody's got a genetic, or a different genetic blueprint. And, like, here's the thing, okay? And I think that's why things get really intimidated by the fitness, industry in general. Is you see all these guys that look really good, like 100% all the time. And I feel like they're putting out, like, false hope, or I should say false hope, but putting out like unrealistic expectations for what, like like what the average person is supposed to look like. And here's the thing, like, you don't always got to have a six pack to be in good health and be in shape. I mean, I mean, it's all in your preference and what you want to look like. I mean, but also, like, I think that, like, not everybody's going to look like me, for example. Not everybody's going to look like me, and, like, that's fine. But, like, everybody's got different genetic blueprint. A runner's got a different genetic blueprint. Power lifter does, bodybuilder does, swimmer does. Like everybody's, different when it comes to that type of stuff. So like I feel like we need to like get out of this, mindset. Oh, I gotta look 100%, 365 days a year.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And I think what also too is kind of like an issue that I think a lot of people seem to skip over is I think with like, for example, dating, like people think you have to have like a certain look to date somebody, where it's like, well, okay, but some people try to do that, but then you're still not, say, like into this person. So now there's like that kind of hurts them, mentally too. Now I think maybe I'm not good enough then. And I think, if that makes any sense.
No, it does make sense. The dating world, I mean, it's it can be a mystery at times. And like I understand where you're coming from. I didn't start dating until I was maybe in my senior year, was like the middle of it. Because like I had, issues like, like with talking to girls and all that stuff growing up. And, I always felt like, oh, I had to look like the popular, guy in school, like, you know what I mean? But as you get older, that your perception just changes, you know what I mean? Like of okay, what do we need to do in order to get into a relationship? But also like I feel like that whole subject, everybody has that all wrong, you know what I mean, when it comes to certain, aspects of it, especially like the mental health aspect of things when it comes to it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because, like, I guess where I'm trying to get at is like people have like, I guess what you're saying about unreal expectations, where like people are like thinking like, oh, well, a guy's like this or a girl's like that, and it's like, well, maybe then that'll be better. And it's like, well, no, not necessarily. There's a lot of things to it than other than just looks.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you could literally be okay a 10 on the look scale, but be a 0 on a shitty. Am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay, a shitty person. Okay, on the inside. Okay, and be a 0. Okay, and like in my older years, whenever I started getting the confidence to talk to women, I've denied women based off of that. Like, I mean, I'm sure like they were probably caught off guard by it, but like not everything's about looks. I mean, it's what's on the inside that counts.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, and that kind of leads into my next question with you being a personal trainer. What do you look into like when you help your clients out?
Like I want to make something clear. I'm gonna backtrack and I'm gonna answer your question. So obviously um I work for the UFC gym right now. Um, but at the moment I'm not training people there, but I do have my like side business where I do train clients at the moment. So like I'm right now in sales and I promote, fitness, the benefits of recovery and educate, stuff, but that will be a future thing. I will be eventually coaching there. That is the goal. But to answer to your question, what do I look for? Is I like to do an evaluation, okay, first on, my clients. I like to get to know them. I like to know their goals. I like to know, okay, health history. Okay, even it's kind of like a therapy session to a degree whenever I evaluate them, because like it lets me know, okay, like, okay, so this is how I need to, trigger their inner psyche to be able to move to the next step. I mean, like I always like say, like, use your past, okay, as a tool, don't dwell on it. Like this is where I don't want to be. This is where I want to be. And I feel like, I try to like have like a couple few like evaluation sessions to kind of like sink that in, to them so they understand that hey, if you just, stay consistent and trust the process, hey, results can happen.
Yeah, no, and I like to read about stuff too. And one of the things I learned, and maybe I'll get your opinion on this. One of the things I learned about like when it comes to like working out and stuff was that some people like say take weight training.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out random numbers just so everyone knows. But say like, you can lift up to 250 pounds, right?
Okay.
And some people say like, well, you can lift it and that's great, but if you look how your body is, does it look like you have a little bit tougher time to lift it up consistently? without hurting yourself. So some people would say, well, instead of lifting higher, heavier weights, it says, why don't you stick to the heaviest weight that you can consistently lift up well, and just add more reps to it. Like, I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Atego, what's your opinion on that?
Actually, like that's pretty amazing that you actually said that. I'm actually very impressed. So what you're talking about is a working set, okay? I don't do the only time I'll ever do a one rep max. I'm going to use yesterday's workout as an example. Okay. I was doing shoulders. I did a 390 shoulder press. Okay. And I did it for one. Okay. But then what did I do is I stripped the plate and I stripped it down to 300. And then I repped that out as many times as I could. Okay. Good form and all that. And then I stripped the plate again and then just kept on stripping it until you know my muscles were completely exhausted. Okay, so the point of a working set is to hopefully I'm not throwing out too big of terminologies, but to stimulate, which may basically means that you're breaking down the muscle tissue enough to where it's going to repair and grow bigger and stronger. Okay, one rep maxes are not going to do that. Okay, you need to challenge it. It's kind of like, okay, with running consistently. Okay, like remember the mile run in school?
Yeah, I remember the mile run.
Okay, like the first time you ever did that mile run, I mean, my time was shitty, completely. All right, but like as I kept on doing it over and over consistently, my times got better. And weightlifting is kind of similar on that aspect of things. The only difference is it's not a marathon. Okay. You're trying to, get the most amount of reps that you can with the heaviest amount of weight, okay, as you possibly can. Okay. That's why I feel like a working set is more effective than what a one rep max is, because one rep maxes are literally just an ego. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, I guess the reason why I asked is I feel like sometimes, like, do you think people like rush when they try to do that kind of stuff? They're like, I gotta lift weights, I gotta look good real quick.
Oh yeah. Why do you think performance or performance enhancers exist? I mean, when it comes to that stuff, everybody wants the quick fix. When it comes to that, and that's really big, and like that's a big epidemic in the fitness industry now. We got like 15-year-olds getting on that stuff because they see their idols on it and whatnot. And I think that's just wrong. I mean, if you would just actually put the time in and actually, get your diet dialed in, get your training, dialed in and do it consistently, you'd be amazed at the progress that you make. Okay. Rather than like, I never ever, okay, try to go into the gym and try to throw on as much plates just so people can watch me. That's not my goal. Do I obviously yesterday was one of those days where I did have like I guess one rep max moment, but like I didn't do it because I wanted people to see me. I was doing it to challenge myself.
Yeah, and I guess to add to your point as well too, it's like, if I remember correctly, like back in the day, like you would hear people like show like healthy alternatives to like help you build muscle so like you didn't have to do that. And they would also encourage people to like, well, you got to rest every once in a while too, so your muscles can like take in the oxygen.
Oh yeah, like that's another thing. Rest is so important. And balance. That I'm glad you brought that up. Balance. That is one thing that I had in my health and fitness journey and career that I always struggled. I guess you could wait that I struggled with that I'm so much better with now because I understand what balance is now. I was always the type of person that kind of took things a little too far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Overdid it. Okay. But I always thought, more was better, more was better. And that's not always the case. So having balance and recovery, like I train literally 4 days a week now. Okay. That's literally it. I have 3 rest days. I'm in the gym maybe 3.5, 4 hours a week tops. Okay. To look like I do now. And I feel great mentally, which that's so important. Being this way, like if you don't have your control center working properly, everything else is gonna fall apart. And then just my body feels better, it's not aching and all that. But that's a big thing whenever you get older.
No, oh, believe me, I know what you mean by that. But another thing too, I wanted to ask you, since you being a personal trainer yourself, when you say about working 4 days a week, that's not like, I think another misconception too when people like are scared to like work out on is that they got to do everything every day. Where I feel like most people like they work on one thing, they should be working like one thing a day. Like, oh well, you know what, I'm going to work on my arms today, and then tomorrow I got the legs. Is that more efficient in your mind?
In my opinion, yes. I mean, there's some gurus that say that they train their body every day, and I think that's very counterproductive. Like today, I hit legs. I hit legs today, and that was it. Nothing else. Okay. So like this is my split. This is how I like to do it. All right. Uh, I typically like to do uh chest on Monday, okay, and that's all I work. The next day I do arms, take a rest day. Well, arms meaning I do tries and buys. And then I have a rest day after that. The following day, I hit shoulders. I like to hit a little bit of back with that too because you're activating shoulder, activation with that. And then after that, like I take a rest day and then I I did legs today. But I always try to throw like maybe like a back in with a bunch of my days. So I'm getting like 4 days out of the week and I'm not completely exhausting myself. I feel like you just exhaust yourself whenever you do everything at once.
Yeah, and speaking of which, my next question would be is has there ever been like a time where you look at your client and be like, "Whoa, you might want to slow down a little bit. I think you maybe you're getting a little too rushed."
Um, could you repeat that again? What was
Mhm. Whoop, my apologies. I guess have you ever had a moment with your client where you're like you feel like they're maybe getting a little bit too aggressive or maybe rushing into things a little too much?
um maybe back whenever this is back whenever like I got the idea of like, hey, I want to be a personal trainer. This was even before I was licensed. Maybe like in my early days of like being, just dead set and I want to be a personal trainer. This is whenever I would bring people over to my basement gym at my parents' house. That wasn't a good idea, by the way. Okay. Dad literally was so pissed when he found out because he saw my client folder. And yeah, I maybe did that in my early days because I was just like, why do I have this mentality and nobody else does? But then I realized everybody's different. And like for example, I train the guys at that wrestling school so much differently than what I would do with an average client that's just looking to get in shape. I mean, you can ask some of the guys at the school. I put them through hell. I'm sure you've heard stories.
Well, but it's all part of the learning process too, because you were like, it was a different, like you said, different mentality. And plus, like you said, you're in a much better place in the head. And now you're able to be like, okay, now I feel like maybe, or do you think, well, I guess maybe another question I would say is, do you think maybe now you're not as, when to like push or when to like, help motivate people or find better ways to motivate people?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, also, like, I feel like, it's better whenever you just are more like, I use this example. Negativity is like a disease. Okay. And I felt like at certain points in my life, like when I had like the negativity affect me, I couldn't be as efficient with my clients, if that makes sense. Like I felt like it kind of radiated over into them, and that might have maybe affected, even progress. You know what I mean? So, like, as of now, okay, I just, all I have time for is positivity. I don't here's my thing. Like, I don't have problems. I say that now. I have solutions to problems, or I'm trying to figure out solutions to problems. That's my mindset these days. So I feel like having that mindset's really helped me being able to lock in, trying to help people. Because if you can't help yourself, how are you supposed to help other people? You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I 100% agree. But I think it's really cool. And I really been wanting to ask you about this because ever since I found out, I was so happy for you. But now you mentioned earlier you help out with the UFC. I love watching the UFC. I'm a big martial arts guy. Love watching MMA. How did you get hooked up with that?
Oh, so alrighty, I'm just gonna lay it down. So obviously when I moved down to Pittsburgh, my I was dead set on getting a job at the gym. I wanted to be a personal trainer at a gym. Right now, currently, I am in sales and I promote the gym and I educate people on tours about the benefits of recovery. Every now and then, they let me tag along because they know I am a personal trainer. I'm in the process of updating my license because you got to renew your license every so often. So that's one of the big reasons why I'm in sales at the moment. But I remember I was at Dunkin' because I managed Dunkin' up here in Pittsburgh for about 2.5 years. Kind of crazy. And I was just getting fed up and like I promised myself if I ever got to this moment again, like I did whenever I was working in Lewistown, where it it was becoming too much like a job. And like, here's the thing, like, there's nothing really fulfilling about Duncan, but like, I love the people there that I was working with. But after a while, it just got overwhelming. So I decided, like, when shit was hitting the fan at Duncan, I decided I need to start applying at gyms. I need to. UFC was one of them. I applied at the Y. I I even got offered a personal training position at the Y, but I turned it down because the UFC had contacted me. I'll never forget it. I was at my girlfriend's house actually, and I get this email, and I look. I'm like, oh my god! They responded back. I have an interview, and I had the interview. I They asked me. I'm like, well, what do you think? I'm like, what do you? I asked them, what are you looking for? They're like, well, right now, currently, we are looking for sales and front desk. And I'm like, but personal training could be in your future. And I said, I just want my foot in the door. I'm just like, let me show you what I can do. And they hired me on the spot. They did. Like, I mean, I honestly, I'm still kind of in shock that it happened that way because like I had a little bit of issues with this interview. My boss at the time at Duncan decides to schedule me, okay, but on the day of my interview, and I usually get out at like about 12 o'clock. Well, my interview was at I believe it was 1:30. I believe 1:15 or 1:30. It might have been 1 o'clock. But she did it on purpose because she knew I was on my way out the door because like there was a lot of tensions going on, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm not having this. I'm like, I will go to that interview. And I heard rumors that I was potentially going to get fired if I left and went to that interview. I said, well, you didn't consult me first about my schedule. Okay. So like I need to go to this. I mean, she didn't know at the time, but I think she knew. But anyways, went to the interview and because she ended up coming down and covering her store for about it was about a half hour of the interview. And yeah, it was about 2 weeks later I started.
Dude, that's so awesome because UFC is one of the biggest, sporting events in the world, and
Right. Yeah.
a lot of, it really boosted my love for martial arts, outside of the movies, of course. But it's so much fun to watch and see that, and then see one of your buddies, yeah, sure. Like people be like, "Well, he's just a trainer." I said, "Yeah, but he's with the UFC. I mean, this is awesome." I was like, so proud of you, bud.
I mean, here's the thing, like about that, like, I do appreciate that, by the way. So the other day, I was in the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu mat room, and I was filming content for the gym. I come up with the challenges, by the way, at the gym. Like we do the challenge of the month, and I come up with the exercises. So they know my capabilities. They let me, do certain things when it comes to, the exercises and stuff. Like I think it's great that my boss allowed me to do this. But I did this kick, okay? It's called dragging with the tail. And the one coach, he saw me do it. He's like, hey, do that again. He's like, that was good. And obviously, I've told you I got hit by a car about many years ago, so it's amazing that I could still even do that kick. But I did it again, and he's like, that was good, and he's just like, and he told me about my hip. He critiqued it a little bit, and I was like, yeah, my hip is messed up from that car. It's not as good as it used to be. He's like, well, dude, he's like, that's about 95%. So I got a compliment. So I mean,
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah, so I mean, I must be doing something right. But I don't try to take, when people say that kind of stuff, I don't take offense to it. You know what I mean? Everybody's got their views and their opinions.
Well, yeah, and plus you're learning, and it's not like it's something that can't be, fixed for next time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, if I'm doing that kick at 95%, because I used to have it at 100, like after a car, doing that to me, I think I'm doing all right.
Hey, no, absolutely. And so I guess that leads into my next question is what is your daily duties?
At the gym?
Yeah.
Okay, so my daily duties at the gym, okay? I obviously make a lot of phone calls throughout the day, to try to like prospect people, get people in the gym. And then I tour them. I tour the facility with them. And then I obviously, give them a run around, or I shouldn't say run around. I give them the spiel on the memberships, what we offer, all that stuff. I also educate them a little bit about how the machines work, a little bit, and like what they're for and whatnot. And then in the recovery room, we have a recovery spa. I educate them on the benefits of recovery, and like the stuff that we have, like cryotherapy. We have red light sauna therapy. We have hydro massage bed. We have compression therapy. We have also tanning and skincare too. But I do that, and I just try to like get people in the door. I also do content with social media and whatnot. I film for like the gym. People doing stuff. Uh, Hopefully, my next step here is to be on the coaching team here soon. Once I get my license renewed to train people, I should be. I don't like I said. I'm willing to pay my dues. However long they need me in that position is how long I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid to pay my dues.
And nothing wrong with that. And have you ever got to meet anybody like any of the UFC fighters?
Uh, not like not UFC fighters, but I've met some Golden Glove people. I've actually met some like there's been actually famous celebrities that came to that gym actually. Oh, who's that dude? His name's Frank. I forget his last name. He was in the Avengers. I forget his last name to save my life. I think it's Grillo. Is that his name? Frank Grillo?
You said he was in the Avengers movie?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Yeah, he was up here. Yeah. He came to our gym. We have some reality TV stars that come here. Like I'm actually next week, I'm actually touring some Instagram influencers actually, like pretty big ones. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So like it's kind of cool. Like I'm actually coming in an hour early for it. So
Well, doesn't that feel kind of weird? Because like us being from small town boys and all that stuff, and all of a sudden you see these like big names come in, you're like, hello, sir or ma'am.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a different world out here in Pittsburgh. It is not the same. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I feel like I have become like a Pittsburgher now. Like I've been up here for 3 years. That's crazy.
No,
Like,
that's awesome though.
yeah, like, but it's a different world out here. Like it's fast paced. It's not like Lewistown. Like, like when I come back to visit, like I'm gonna be kind of out of my element, I feel.
No, that's understandable, man. That's understandable. Oh, hey, I don't know if you ever watched this, but also Dana White also runs Power Slap. Have you ever gotten involved with those people?
No, but I know what you're talking about. Insane sport, like the amount of mentality to like be able to get hit. It reminds me of my martial art days, training uh with my Sifu. and he would intentionally like beat me with bamboo sticks. It kind of reminded me of that. Like you're intentionally letting somebody slap you in the face.
And there's some deadly strikes. I'm watching some of it. And I'm like, this is the most ridiculous yet somehow entertaining sport I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it definitely is. Some of them get knocked out.
Oh, they do. I forget which one it was, but someone slapped him. He hit him so hard he fell back, but his head bounced off the middle. And I'm like, yikes.
Yeah. And some of them hands the size of your head.
Oh my goodness. What's that guy's name? The Hawaiian Hitman or something?
Like,
I think that's his name. I forget. They got these weird nicknames, but his hands, he put up his hands. I'm like, holy crap, that's my head. They're big dudes, man.
yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, some of them like they kind of remind me of like a power lifter
Oh, oh yeah.
or like the arm wrestlers.
Oh yes, yes, the arm wrestling, the what is it, the World Arm League or something like that?
Yeah, some of them do like it's not their buys and tries that are big. If you ever look at those guys, look at their forearms.
Oh geez, look like Popeye.
Yeah, they're like, this is actually a true story. I don't drink anymore, but this is back whenever I remember the beer house.
Yeah, I remember the Bear Hoss.
Is that still a thing down there?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay, still going strong. Well, there was this guy that was an Arnold Classic arm wrestling champion, and he came up to me because like obviously like I'm not a small dude, and everybody was like encouraging him to go arm wrestle me. And I was like, I'm not an arm wrestler. Like I know how the sport works. Like you know what I mean. Like you don't have to like look like I do to win. I didn't lose, but I did not win. It was a stalemate. And the dude, like he actually proved that who he was. He had pictures of him, at this event. He had a picture of him and Arnold. Like it was kind of cool. He gave me some pointers on what I could do to be better. He's just like, you want to know why you were struggling with me, and he told me, like, you gotta. It's not really your arm. It's literally your hip, your wrist. Because once you lose control of your wrist, you're done.
Yeah, no, and it is amazing how simple. I mean, it's simple, but it looks a lot more it's more complicated than I think people give it credit.
Yeah, it's a full body workout, kind of almost.
Yeah, and speaking of, you kind of mentioned earlier, but obviously, I love martial arts since I was a kid. Got to watch movies and comic books, and obviously the UFC and boxing. I love martial arts. How did you get involved in martial arts?
Okay, so growing up, me and my dad that's where we clicked. My dad did martial arts whenever he lived in Philly. And this is what like I didn't know that my dad knew a thing about martial arts until one day. Because we used to watch the movies, growing up. Like one of my favorite ones were Hard to Kill. Like I'm a big Steven Seagal fan. A lot of people that know me, they make fun of me for it, but that I do. I love him. Jean Claude Van Damme,
Oh,
Jackie,
good.
Bruce Lee,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
all of like the major, even Dolph Lundgren, I liked him. Brandon Lee, just all those. But like I came home from school one day, these kids were picking on me and they ended up, beating the living shit out of me one day. And it was a group, okay? And I came home and I was roughed up looking, and my dad's like, "Who did that to you?" And I told him like the main one that instigated it, and I said, "I want to learn this Taekwondo I've been hearing about." He's like, "Why do you want to learn that?" He's just like, "Just let me teach you." And I'm like, "What do you know?" And I'm like, and then he's just like, "Really?" He's like, "I'll show you." I get my first lesson from my dad, and like he taught me for years before I actually entered into a dojo. Uh, and I was, I think I was, forget how old I was when I entered into the JoJo. I think I was like 20 years old. Yeah, I was 20 years old when I went into my first dojo. But like for years, it was just me and my dad, just training me, teaching me.
What was he teaching you?
He was teaching me Jeet Kune Do concepts, Aikido or Aikijitsu, which is more an aggressive form of it. Taught me a little bit about Eagle Claw Kung Fu, because he did that. But those were like the main ones that he taught me. And when I met my Sifu, I was, finally married, and it was weird because like he was a foreigner, like he was like the real deal. Okay, like it was so cool. I remember it was like the first day that I moved in up. It was remember the house that that you were at my house a couple times,
Yep.
McCoy Manor. My Sifu lived next door to me, and I watched him walk out one day in his gi, and he had a pair of tiger hooks. I don't know if you know what tiger hooks are, but they are a huge sword. Okay, that they're they're probably about they're I can't even probably show it on camera, but they're huge. But they have like a crescent kind of moon blade to them.
Yeah.
They have like hooks, hanging, on the sides. And I was like, I got to know this dude. We got to talking, and I told him what I already knew. And he's like, I think you should come down, to the school. So I did. And I swear, like, it was probably about 5 years with this dude, okay? 5 years with this dude. If I wasn't training at the school, I was training with him next door. And like, it was kind of cool that I had the option of also training with him next door too, because like, I mean, this dude was learning things from like overseas and stuff, like Thailand and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, like he was like this dude was like kicking trees,
Oh, jeez.
kicking trees. It's like he was like he's how I learned how to disarm guns. Like if you remember back whenever uh me and Matt were doing that Dead on the Horizon show.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember? I don't know if the footage ever got leaked, but we were doing a gun scene where he had it pointed at me, and like we rehearsed this and like I choreographed it. We choreographed it like it was probably about a half hour straight, to get everything looking right, and it looked cool on camera. He literally, has it at me. I take the gun, I empty the clip, take it right here. Dude literally I run into him up at Walmart when I was working at Walmart at the time. He looks at me, he's like, "Are you that karate dude?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Do you do karate?" I was like, I do martial arts. Yeah, why, what's up? He's like, "I hope you know I almost called the cops the other day on you guys." I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "I thought you were being held at gunpoint." Prop gun that was like pointing at me. I was like, "Wait, really?" He's like, "I almost did until like at the end you two started laughing." I also learned off of another dude too. In There was another school I went to. I learned Muay Thai. I did a little bit of submission wrestling, a little bit, uh, but I did that with him for a couple years. But yeah, like I did that for a while, uh, and I just love the energy, like the discipline that came along with it, and just you get to see what our favorite heroes on screen that went through to get to that point to look like that on screen. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. I mean, I'm a big fan of, like you mentioned, Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee. God rest both their souls. I'm also a big fan of Chuck Norris, but I also like these martial artists that they almost like go around the world, like trade like Pokemon cards, almost like they trade cards, but they go around and learn techniques from each other, go over the world. I'm like, man, that'd be so cool to travel and just say like you learn a thing or two here or there. You
Yeah,
know, have you ever thought about doing that?
oh, you know what? That's never crossed my mind. I mean, I wanted to honestly like work as far as like martial arts concerned. I always wanted to go to Japan
Oh, I
because
love Japan.
I have a fascination with Aikijitsu and I love it. I always just thought it was fascinating that you could turn somebody's energy against them without ever, you can really do a lot of damage to a person without punching them or really kicking them. I always found that fascinating. Um, I mentioned about Seagal earlier. If you ever notice in his movies, he's throwing guys around using their energy against them. If you notice that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I did Wing Chun too. My Sifu taught me Wing Chun, and like Steven also did Wing Chun. The only time you ever really see him throw a kick is like waist high, and I always just found it fascinating that he implemented even that, and to combining like a defensive technique into an offensive technique, like where he throws somebody into his hand. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I just thought that was just fascinating.
Well, yeah, and I also I've also appreciate the craft as well, and the time like the Shaolin monks. Like if you ever go to like China, if you ever see some of these temples, and you see these guys like like in unison, there could be like 60 dudes like all lined up in like different rows, and they're all like moving as one, and I'm like, holy crap, that's amazing.
I mean, what's crazy you said about the Shaolin monks. My Sifu actually he trained us like monks pretty much. You know what I mean? Like he did. Um, if I told you some stories of what he put me through, I mean, you ever see the videos of them like literally like just getting like beat with stuff?
Oh yeah, the sticks.
Well, I remember and this will probably, I mean, I always tell people don't watch too much TV or movies, but some of the things that you see in the movies are kind of accurate. Um, I was forced into a split. Uh, Legit was forced into a split. I don't know if you remember pictures of me doing splits across chairs.
I do actually.
Yeah, there's a reason why I was able to do that. He literally put me in this machine, okay, where my legs would go like this until,
Ow.
yeah, uh-huh. And he would do that to me.
Dude, I felt sore just watching Van Damme do it in Bloodsport.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference was it wasn't attached to a tree. Like, that was literally the difference, but it was the same concept. And yeah, like he put me in it for a half hour at times. And I mean, I'll tell you what, my kicks improved immensely.
Oh, I can believe it. I can believe it. I've seen, like I said, like I love like to look at the craft and like see people. I've seen some of these guys throw kicks, and I'm like, my lord, these guys are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing like what like flexibility does for like your kicking. I thought I was flexible before stretching, which crack stretching's a different type of stretch. But whenever it's kind of like lifting weights a little bit,
Yeah,
stretching you a little bit beyond of what you're capable of, that helps the muscles get looser and able to be more flexible.
yeah,
So
no,
kind of works like that.
dude, that's awesome though. But I will say though, this too, since we both love martial arts and we love martial arts movies. Have you ever thought it'd be cool to be a part of one?
Yeah, actually. I think that's why I was really down for the whole Dead on the Arising thing and why we were doing things the way that, we were doing. Like I always wanted remember The Walking Dead was like really big when we did that.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know if you remember the first preview of Dead on the Horizon, but do you remember Tyler Baines was in it actually? Do you remember him?
Oh yeah, I remember Tyler. Yeah.
Okay, well, he played the zombie, and I said, well, it's not been done on screen with zombies before? A fight scene, like hand-to-hand combat fight scene. Everybody just shoots them. Okay, so I came up with this idea where the zombie was coming, after me, and the first part, I think I flipped him over my back, and then there's a part where I throw an outside hook kick, and I kick him, and we added the sound effect and everything. It was cool. And then there was another move where he came at me, and then I tossed him. He did a flip, and I tossed him, and then I broke his neck. So the reason why that happened was because, I really thought that I could probably do something like that on screen. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to do it one of these days. I mean, I'm in the right area for it. Like, you wouldn't believe in the amount of like acting opportunities are up in Pittsburgh.
No, that'd be cool. One of the things I always thought would be cool for hometown sports is like as a writer, I would love to cover, say, like a martial arts event. That'd be a fun thing to do.
Oh yeah, for real. Yeah. I think that would I mean, I know you're doing the wrestling, right now, right?
Yes, yes, I cover them.
Thought so, yeah. That I mean, definitely. Why not like expand your horizons? Definitely. I mean, look at who's that wrestler that there's a couple that implemented martial arts into their styles. Rob Van Dam was one of those ones that
Oh yeah.
yeah, he was known for doing the splits and doing the kicks. And there's another one, Steve Black.
Oh, Steve Blackman. Yes, yes. He's like one of the most legit looking tough guys I've ever seen. And going back to Rob Van Dam, I don't know if you ever see a video, but you mentioned him doing the splits. He was doing splits and then lifting a dumbbell as he was in the splits. I'm like, good Lord. I would I would be, oh my gosh, I'd be like going to the hospital trying to do that.
And now I've done them across chairs where I had to pull myself out of it with a bamboo stick, but I never did that.
Ooh, that's just amazing flexibility. And there's even guys that are in the UFC or in MMA that switch to pro wrestling that throw involved. So it's pretty cool to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean that seems to be like a common thing now, where a lot of the guys in the MMA world they do because I mean with pro wrestling, what's cool about it? I mean, obviously I've been kind of out of that scene for a minute now. Um, but what I think is kind of cool about it is, the character development that's involved. And, it's kind of like how a movie, like, with the characters. I love how like everybody has like their identity.
Yeah,
And
no, and it's really cool to see too. And and I've been, and then we talked about it too. I love watching Japanese wrestling. That's a fun thing to watch.
okay, the Japan ones. Yeah.
Yeah, you got New Japan, All Japan, Pro Wrestling, and other ones as well. Of course, you got the martial arts events that happen there as well.
Yeah.
And but let's move on to another thing we both like, and that's music. A lot of people don't know this, but you also get yourself involved in music.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Music has been a very big important part of my life. But what did you want to ask me about that?
Well, we talked about like mental health and stuff, and like music. I was actually just listening to some blues before we came on here to like ease my mind a little bit. I was feeling a little tense, so I played some blues music, and boy, do I feel much better.
Oh, I think like it's funny you brought that up. See, as a writer, like I write, but like differently than like how you do. But I mean, it's not much different. The only difference is I'm trying to put it with a tune, and I got to be able to enunciate these words a certain way and carry a tune at the same time. But I always wrote straight from the heart, and a lot of my influences. It's no secret. I'm a big grunge guy. I loved my grunge music. A lot of people used to like when I first got involved in music, they were like, "You're a Creed wannabe." You know what I mean? Like
I remember that. Yeah, I actually remember that.
I was like, "Okay, I'm still gonna do it though."
Well, no, it's funny you say that because I remember we talked about that one time years ago, and you said, "Yeah, people say I'm a Creed ripoff." And I'm like, "Dude, isn't that just how you sing?" And you're like, "Yeah, I don't know why people think I'm trying to rip people off. It's just how I sing."
Yeah, I mean, it's just I have a baritone voice. I mean, when I first started, like a lot of people don't know this, but I have vocal lessons. Uh, but I have vocal lessons at this church that I grew up in. It was Grove Memorial United Methodist, and I sang in the choir, and I learned how to choir sing before I learned how to rock sing. Okay, so I took what I knew from choir and I implemented it over into the rock, singing. And then like the first album that made me want to be a rock singer. I'll never forget it. Was I bought My Own Prison by Creed. I did. So yeah, obviously there was definitely a big influence on that. you know,
Another
and
good album though.
I mean, it was a big influence. I mean, maybe at first I was trying to sound like them, but like after a while, I felt like I came up with my own identity, you know? But like, no, like as I like when I started like releasing my demos and like stuff like that, or hell, even when I was in my band, or a couple of the bands that I was in, I didn't have intentions of trying to sound like Creed. I just took all my influences like Creed, uh, Nirvana, Cold. I don't know if you know who those guys are, but Cold, Stain, Seether, uh, oh, even Puddle of Mud, stuff like that. Did I say Bush?
Yeah, you did. You just did, but Puddle of Mud was pretty good. I wonder what happened to them.
I mean, they just put out a new album, literally the
Oh,
other.
did they?
Yeah, just bands like that, and I guess this is kind of another band, and I'll just say this now, rest easy. But Three Doors Down, the lead singer just passed away today, I guess.
Yeah, Brad Arnold. Excuse me, Brad Arnold. God rest his soul. It's a shame what happened to him.
Yeah, but I mean, his voice, which ironically, everybody says I look like Superman. Kryptonite I've covered before. So
Great
like
song.
bands like that, really got me into the because they wrote what was from their heart. You know what I mean?
I think that's the only way you can go, and I think some people are scared to because they don't want to try to cause any issues with anybody. It's not like I like to think it's like poetry. I like to write poetry as well as like short stories and all that. And honestly, I would love to say I could like learn how to write a lyrics as well because I think there's beauty in a lot of the stuff that you're doing with your music.
I mean, like essentially it's poetry. It is like coming up with rhyme schemes, coming up with the subject, and I mean it's no secret. I've a lot of the songs that I wrote were very like lyrically very controversial, and I did it for a reason. Um, Obviously, when you're putting yourself out there, okay, and this is what they don't tell you about like putting yourself out there. You need to be controversial, and to catch catch a buzz in the community with that whole scene. Like if you, or I think that's with a lot of scenes actually. You got to be willing to, be hated. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
why I was okay with people saying I was a Creed knockoff. I
Well,
mean,
and it's weird though too because like a lot of things that well, I mean anything feels like it's controversial nowadays, but it's like a lot of times when people come out with things and they say, "Oh, this is kind of controversial," I'm like, "Well, how? They're just trying to open up about things. They weren't trying to be mean spirited to anybody."
I mean, it's really not. I mean, I wrote about a lot of subjects. A lot of stuff that went on in my life. I mean, honestly, like I had more positive feedback than I did backlash. Like I had some people tell me like, "Hey, your song really touched me and actually saved my life." Like when you hear that kind of stuff, it's like, okay, I'm doing something right. Which the coolest thing I ever did with music, which I used to say this is like kind of like I thought I don't know if I talked about this with like fitness and stuff, but determination is a big key thing in like any, success and trying to achieve something. But I used to say this, okay, because the one song I wrote was about an ex of mine who completely broke my heart, by the way. And I used to make jokes all the time that, I'm going to get this on the radio and people are going to know what you did to me. And like what's really crazy about that is me and her are cool now. Like, I mean, I haven't talked to her in years, but we're cool now. But like uh I was putting out the demo, you know what I mean? And like that's the demo that people were like, okay, this is really catchy. And then I had a producer that I've known for a long time. He was in my uncle's band actually. He reached out to me and he's like, dude, he's like, I like what you're doing. He's like, but I think that if you really want to make this to the radio, this is what we need to do. And he chose that song. Okay. And what's really funny is I sent that song, okay, not thinking that people would, pick it up. I sent it to Murph. Murph didn't, I mean, I got a response back that he's like, yeah, I like it, da 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 da. But he told me like, the stipulations and stuff like that. But WCHX was like the radio station that got my first radio exposure, and I was on the Backyard Band Show. They were interviewing me and all that stuff. But then Outlaw Alliance Radio, which is another radio station that still plays my music to this day. They're on Mixcloud, and they chose that song too. So it was kind of like, oops. It was kind of like, oh shit, like it actually came true. But even worse yet, this is even cooler than the radio. I never thought it would go this far, but they got a deal with Paramount Plus, Outlaw Alliance Radio, and basically it's the deal was. Do you ever hear of Star Trek Day?
Oh yeah, I have actually.
I didn't know that existed until they contacted me about it, but they were like, "We have a deal with Paramount Plus, and like, I gotta come up with like a shit ton of like videos and have music behind them, so they're aired on these platforms on TV." And he's like, "I want to use your music," and the first one that they used was that song, and it got played on TV actually on September 8th, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, I mean, that was the coolest thing I ever did with music.
Yeah, that man, that's awesome. And for those of you that are watching this that want to know what the song is, what tell them the name of the song.
I need to get over you.
So there, so go look up John Klinger. I need to get over you, if you
Yeah,
want to know what song he's talking about.
I mean, that song was definitely an adventure. Definitely writing it. I mean, the one that I thought was gonna go, Matt actually, made like a video type thing, to release it. It was called "I'm the One to Blame." That was the one I was trying to get out there, which it did make, TV. It did make that, but as far as radio, it made it on the radio on Outlaw Alliance, but never on WCHX.
No, dude, but that's so awesome, dude. And I'm so happy to see you have success. And I guess my final question for you today is, what's your future goals?
Future goals. So lately, okay, my future goal right now is like, uh I used to get told all the time that I couldn't do something. And I don't know if that, maybe I'm kind of like rebellious. That's just my personality. I don't like when people tell me that I can't do something. But I got told I was always wasting my time wanting to be a personal trainer full time. So my future goal is, especially now that I am in the spot that I am with the UFC gym, is I want to be, a coach there. I mean, even the head of the coaching department, if that's in my cards. But like, I'm obviously aiming for like little goals at a time, because I feel like whenever you set your goals like too high and you aim for them, and you get let down, it becomes kind of depressing, and that's not what I want to do. But like, I want to do coaching full time there, and I know I'm getting close. It's kind of scary. Like, I'm right now on chapter 20 on my renewal for my personal training license to get renewed. So I'm very, very close. So, and then on top of that, now that I am where I am, I have a girlfriend who's got, a few kids, settle down, you know, have like, family up here, and just, live my life.
No, I'm proud of you, man. I really am proud of you. And I hope and pray nothing but the best for you with the UFC. And where can they find your music, and where they else can they find you at, bud?
Oh, so you can find me on obviously Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok, I'm under Superman's Plan, aka the TikTok dad. A lot of people, like, it's weird being called a dad, or a Chad, or what is it? What's the new term now? Unk?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I don't understand this stuff.
Now, I guess that's an old stud. Old stud now.
But again, man, I'm so proud of you, Klinger, to see where you've come from, and I'm so proud of you, man. Keep up the good work, buddy.
Yeah, thanks there, buddy. I appreciate it.
And once again, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's definitely a pleasure, and I think you're going to do great things with this podcast that you got going on here, man. Just keep it up, keep the consistency going, and sky's the limit.
No, I appreciate that, man. And hopefully we get to do this again sometime.
Dude, yeah, just honestly, like evenings are like prime time for me. It's whenever I'm literally processing what happened in my day, and like I'm just, yeah, just chilling the rest of the day. Then after that,
No, man, but thank you so much. And again, best of luck to you. And thank you for all for watching. And I love you all. And God bless. Be safe, everybody.